author and nutritionist Robert Ferguson. Please welcome Robert Ferguson.
All right, y'all, let's hear it for America's fat loss coach, Robert Ferguson!
Hello. This is Roberto Lorenzo Ferguson. That is Robert Ferguson. Welcome, everybody, to this live broadcast where I want to talk about the struggle. Now, before I talk about the struggle, and I'm talking about weight loss, because I do want to give you some tips and tricks, and I'm saying tricks in a very helpful way, meaning there's some shortcuts. And depending on some of the interaction I may experience, meaning you have some questions, if you're stuck with losing weight, then I'll give you some answers. Now, if you're new to me, I am a nutritionist who cares, and that's why I share. And I created this thing called the Diet Free Life methodology that goes back to 1995. Now, that would make me seem kind of old. Well, let's call it mature, right? And I believe that this is a positive thing because throughout the years, I have been open-minded to continuously look at how I could make things better, right? So the science has never really settled when it comes to weight loss. We've just become more skilled at it. And let's say if I was coaching someone in 1995 and I was giving them recommendations on nutrition, well, what I was doing in the year 2000 was a little bit different. And by the time 2005 came, it was quite a bit different from 1995. That's 10 years. And then after working with people all over the country and then abroad, my experience just went up, 10x. Next thing you know, 2015's here. We've done some clinical trials. 2020 did another clinical trial. And each time we're making things better. Each time making things better. And that's kind of how evolution of my work has been. It's never settled. And the way I coach someone, let's say like I have this celebrity that was just recently referred someone to me. And they said, hey, is Robert good at what he does? And this person, based on work I did back in 2005, this celebrity goes, he's the best. Wow. And I'm like, that's almost 20 years ago. And years have gone by for this person. And I'm like, man, if I went up against me 18 years ago, I would destroy me, if that makes sense. Now, here's the other part that's interesting. Just because you've been doing something for a long time does not mean you're the best at it. Right? So let's say that, you're the coach of a basketball team and you've been coaching for 5 years. And then you go up against someone who's been coaching for 30 years. Now, does the team that has a coach with 30 years experience, is that an automatic win because they have 30 years experience? No, it's not. You could be coaching for a year. If you're a good coach, you're a good coach. Now, take that and let's transfer it over to you being your own coach. Meaning, let's say you have someone who has been losing weight, gaining weight, did all these diets for 25, 35, 40 plus years. They have that many years of experience with diets. Is that going to be helpful? Yeah, it is. And this is where I believe it's helpful. For those of you who have diet, you know what it's like to diet, you know what it's like to lose weight and then to gain it back. For all of you seasoned dieters, right? That's not a bad thing. Because your experience breeds wisdom. You can see when something makes sense. You can see things clear. And you would know better not to go down certain roads again. Now, the flip of that, and then we can get into it, you guys, is that people sometimes with all that experience, they either give up or they get to a place where they just become, frustrated, mad, stubborn, and they don't want to do anything else. Like, what's the point? And they give up. They just throw in the towel. And you have quite a few people, their ego just is too big. They want to figure it out how to do it on their own. It's that simple. Now, they'll hire a personal trainer. but they won't hire someone to teach them nutrition. And then the sad part is that if they hire someone to teach them nutrition, a lot of these people who are veterans of nutrition, because you've been through all these diets, you may know more than the person that's coaching you, especially people who have experienced the Diet for Your Life methodology. And I say that because I watch it all the time. I'll coach someone, and then the day comes where they become a coach. And very shortly after that, their clients are doctors. Their clients are personal trainers. And these people just became a coach. It's because they know the methodology. When you know the methodology, you have the edge. And the fact that it's validated, verified, and the outcomes are reproducible when you follow the methodology, the system, oh man, we got something here. We have magic. We have magic. Now, I'm on my way to speak to a whole bunch of health plan professionals. And we're going to disrupt things because they have not seen what we do. They haven't. And I'm about to blow their mind. Okay. Thank you for letting me share all that. Let me ask some questions. Who is struggling with their weight loss? Who has hit a stall and you're like, man, I don't understand why this weight is not coming off. I'm doing everything right. Is there anyone right now that is catching me on this live that can comment and share with me a stall? And maybe it's not you. Maybe you can comment or share a situation maybe in your past where you hit a stall and then it's like, okay, how do I get past this? I'm doing everything right. Well, I can tell you this, the people who aren't hitting stalls, they're probably under 25 years old. Yeah, they're under 25. Stalls start to happen as you progress, and they happen for many, many, many reasons. But one of the main reasons is this thing called insulin resistance. It's not all that, but insulin resistance is either the root of it is blocking your weight loss or is playing a role in it. And so when you address insulin resistance, that's powerful because you then can reverse the cause. See, if you don't reverse the cause, you will continue to chase the effects. And those are the people who go from one diet to the next diet. 1 week is this, the next week is something else. Instead of learning how to eat food in a way that will let excess body fat leave the body. And then if you continue to eat the way you've been eating, the fat won't come back. Now, some of you may be thinking it's all about calories. Well, it can't be all about calories. Because if you're just counting the calories, you may lose weight. But if the calories are too low, the weight that you see changing on the scale, it looks like you're losing weight. You're probably losing water. You're probably losing some lean muscle tissue, which is not good for you. And you're probably losing what? Bone. So muscle, water, bone is making up the bulk of your weight loss. That's not good. So that means you're losing muscle, which means you're losing your youth, which means you're going to age faster, which means metabolically you're going to burn fewer calories throughout the day. Now, let's say that it's not that. Let's say that you're in a situation where you're like, okay, I'm eating everything right and I don't understand, but the weight's not coming off. Maybe it's your gut microbiome. And if you haven't heard of the gut microbiome, we're talking about all that bacteria that lives inside your intestinal tract, beginning in your mouth all the way up to your bum. Did you know that if you have a disrupted gut, or what they call dysbiosis, not only are you not absorbing a lot of nutrients that would be helping your body, but when you're out of whack, your body burns calories at a different rate. So with a lot of my clients, when I start working with them, and let's say they're at a stall, we got to get their gut in balance. And once we create that balance, then you start to see the weight come off. Wow. Think about that. Just by getting my gut healthier, I can lose weight. So how do you get your gut healthier? Well, you got to do it the right way, because Stanford University, quite a few other universities have done studies and have demonstrated that if you just go take a probiotic, that doesn't mean that things are going to get better. It actually has demonstrated more of a disruption. I've seen that personally up close with some of the work of Dr. Sabine with probiotics. There were people who were all healthy, and then they took an over-the-counter probiotic, meaning they took one that wasn't tested, the due diligence wasn't done. These people were already healthy, so they couldn't feel or see anything changing on the outside. But when they retested their gut microbiome, they had lost a very, very important part of their gut microbiome called bifidobacteria was gone. And it wasn't because of what they were eating, because they were already eating right. Remember, she tested them up front. And then after they took the probiotic, everything got worse. So taking supplements sometimes, unless it's been vetted, you may be causing way more damage than good. So at the end of the day, here's the point. Get back to nature, you guys. Eat as close to nature as possible. There are some supplements that can help you. There are, like vitamin C, vitamin D, 100%. And when you take vitamin D, make sure that when you take it, you have some fat in the meal for when you take it. Because without fat, that vitamin D is less likely to be absorbed into your system. If you're just taking a vitamin D, with some water, and then you go out and do a workout and you don't have any fat like in your system, then you're less likely to absorb that vitamin D. It's like you just wasted your time and your money. Then vitamin C, make sure you split it up. And why I like vitamin C and vitamin D is because they both have been demonstrated to increase the bifidobacteria. So every client that I work with and all the coaches that I work with, I tell them, hey, encourage your clients to take vitamin C and vitamin D. I mean, I wish I had my own vitamin C and vitamin D because, I'm just telling people just go get it. And maybe just saying it out loud right now makes me want to do it. So there are things that we can do. But at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it comes down to you. So here's some things that I would recommend you do, and then I'll get out of here. Okay, that could probably help you speed up your process or get past your stalls. Now, if you're not familiar with the Diet for Your Life methodology, I can't really give you points. I'm not going to say avoid this or avoid that because we're not about that. If someone's hitting a stall and they have not done Diet for Your Life, I would say start with our challenge or get with a coach. Learn the methodology, be educated as you get over your stall. Other than that, you're going to just be chasing effects, as I mentioned, instead of going back to the cause. Go to the root and then build from there. Build a solid, strong foundation with clear data and understanding about how to eat food in a way that's going to get you the outcomes that you want and the outcomes that you want to live with. Meaning once you lose the weight or improve your metabolic health, you are able to maintain the outcomes, the success that you experience. Okay. Number one, I'm going to say drink more water than anything else. Drink more water. Make sure you're hydrated. A goal to shoot for, I would say, 8-ounce cups of water a day, at least. Make it that your goal. And then every time before you eat a meal, drink a cup of water before you begin eating the meal. Just make that a habit. And it's not so that you are full and you're less likely to overindulge. Like when people tell me that, I go, no, I make fat burning meals. I'm not going to overindulge because I know exactly what I'm going to eat. I'm not just eating intuitively. Like you hear about people talking about intuitive eating. I go, okay, intuitive. So let's just guess, right? It's like, and let's just feel. And I think that's good because you are being mindful, but nah, I'm not counting on that. But drinking water is a good thing. Then ask yourself the question, what could you do better this week that you didn't do last week? And then answer the question, and that'll probably put you in good favor. Like, for instance, let's say that you go, what could I do better this week? Well, I went for a walk 3 times this past week. So you know what? I'm either going to add time to my walk, Maybe I was walking 30 minutes, I'm going to go 35 minutes, or maybe I'm going to add a fourth day. That's one thing that you could do, and that would actually like help you. And then what else can you do? Get educated. I would say go out of your way and make sure that you're working from a place of clarity, because when you know exactly what to do, you will have an inner confidence and you're more likely to do it. So that's what I would do. And I'll end on this note, because I have this client who, she literally was working very hard for over a year and the weight was just not coming off. And she had everybody telling her something totally different. And then I started working with her. And I'm not saying I always have the answers, but we are batting a pretty high. We got a pretty good percentage of success. I started working with her and I just explained. I said, look, think of your body as the desert. And that's not where we want to be. And she says, well, where do we want to be? And I said, more like the rainforest, the Amazon jungle. It's going to take some time, but we're going to get there. And my analogy is you don't just go out with a handful of apple seeds and just throw them up in the air and they just land where they land, and then you have an orchard the next week. You're going to have to water it. You're going to have to like speak to it in a positive way. You're going to have to like give it some time, and eventually you'll get that orchard. And so some of us have done damage to on a cellular level, to our bodies. We've caused fatty liver. We have it. We have fructose consumption on a big level. We're actually eating in a way where, glucose in our tissue and our body is converting to fructose. That's then causing fatty liver and causing a whole bunch of other challenges, to include insulin resistance. And we have to like kind of, go in and clean up that garden. We got to pull some weeds. And as you get, like, even as I mentioned about the gut, as it becomes healthier and more in balance, then one day you wake up and instead of like no weight loss that week and you feel like you're doing everything right, or instead of like a half pound that week and you're doing everything right, you'll have a 1 or maybe a 2 pound drop that week. And then the next week is like another 2 pound. Like, what is going on? Here it was, I was killing myself, over exercise, doing all these things, and the weight wasn't coming off. And now all of a sudden, well, it ain't all of a sudden. Let me stress that. It ain't all of a sudden. And Christians know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you got to work and do the work and have faith that it's going to work out. Now, we could be stupid too. You know what I mean? That's why you want to constantly look for value or clarity. Make sure you're really challenging yourself to find the science or better understand it. Talk to your coach, whoever your coach is. Talk to your coach, and if they can't explain it, ask them to like, hey, get back to me when you can, because I really want to better understand this. It's like one of my clients with fatty liver, 2 days ago, we had a great conversation. She had an ultrasound done on Friday, and the doctors were blown away because they saw a significant reduction in her fatty liver. And we haven't been at it that long, but she's going for it. Some people it takes a little bit longer than others, but wow, she feels great. But we had to create a foundation at the beginning. We had a desert. We had to plant some seeds. We had to add water and nurture. We had to do some work. And I really believe, and it's been proven, so I'm not just saying this, but I really believe nature, everything will come into balance. It's kind of like I was talking to one of my clients the other day. I said, ever notice like when you look at a camel, that camel has that big old hump on his back? I said, do you know what that is? And she was like, I never really thought about it. I said, that's fat. The camel, like nature has that camel protected so that if it doesn't have access to water, that fat will break down. And guess what? It's almost even Steven. As the fat is dissipating and coming down, water is being released from the fat cell. And then that's how the camel remains hydrated. Did you know that? Isn't that interesting? The same thing with a bear, right? So if you have a bear, we know that they eat a lot, right? They're gaining like 10 pounds a day as they get ready for hibernation. But when they go in there and they go to sleep for all that time, they're not drinking water. So how do they stay alive? Same thing. As fat breaks down, is fueling that bear and keeping that bear hydrated. Nature's amazing. And the bear knows when to start eating, when to forage and get out there and just pack on the pounds. And they know exactly what to eat in order to like have their body gain significant amount of body fat. Because think about it. I mean, just think about that. How do they know? They just know. They know that they need to gain some body fat. And then when they come out of that hibernation, they're not gaining weight. Like, you know what I mean? Like they eat and they gain, but not the way they gain it right before hibernation. They just know. And you know what? I believe that we just know. But yet we live in a world where there's a lot of processed foods, a lot of the way the foods are manufactured, the way they're delivered. By the time we eat them out of a package, all that stuff, I think that disrupts what would be considered nature. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I just find it so interesting. Well, anyway, we're going to be doing a part 2 of my upcoming seminar, the one that I did recently. So if you look underneath in the description area, no matter where you are right now, there's a free seminar that I did where I eventually talk about how our bodies can convert glucose to fructose. That's a good one. If you want to better understand a whole bunch of why we have all these health problems in our carb threshold report, there's a free seminar there also. And if you want to do our challenge, that's there. And if you want to be a coach, because we're growing and we need more coaches, we would love to have you. And you can learn more about it by clicking on that link. And then you can reach out to myself or my assistant, and we can talk to you and share with you how that works. All righty. Thank you very much, you guys. I want you to be well. Share the good news over the diet blues. No more diets. And thank you for letting me share. That was a spontaneous share today. It was a Motivation Monday. Yeah, Motivation Monday. All right. You guys have a good one. If you need anything, reach out to us. Go to my website, dietfreelife.com. Until the next one.